Well, again, he's not answering my direct question, and when he did, it's wrong. Because what he quoted you in Aramaic, it's not from the time of the disciples, which is what he said it would do. I wanted him to show me the Aramaic of the time of the disciples, just like he says that phrase would be. I said that what I would do is to show that what his so-called facts are no such thing, that they're not based on substance. This is not the first time Dr. Craig has used bad Aramaic to make arguments. In his book on 1989, it looks very well documented. If you're a student of Campus Crusade for Christ, you'll be impressed. If you're a linguist, you'll be traumatized. Because there, in the space of 8 pages, he gets almost every Aramaic term wrong that he uses to support the resurrection. On page 4, where he talks about the Aramaic term for receiving a tradition. And then he makes the case that therefore in 1 Corinthians 15:4 we can trust it. He gets part of that term wrong. Page 4, where he talks about the same thing. He gets that wrong. Page 8, where he talks about the verb for appear in Aramaic. Because he wants to make the case that Jesus appeared physically, he gets that wrong. But that doesn't compare to pages 11 to 13, where the word Messiah, the central word, gets it wrong 13 times in Hebrew and Aramaic. Because anybody past the first week in Aramaic would know there's a difference between the kof and the kaf, the hey and the het, the vav and the noon. These are different phonemes. When you use them in the same words, they're going to be wrong, Dr. Craig. And any good Aramaist knows there are no attested examples of first day of the week or any examples expressing days of the week in any biblical Aramaic or in all of Middle Aramaic going by Fitzmyer's chronology, Dr. Craig. So how can you know what the first day of the week would have been in Jesus' time? Number 2, there is not enough evidence to say what the Aramaic phrase would have been. What he's quoting you is later. He doesn't tell you that. Indeed, the attested dialects of Aramaic from the first 1,000 years after Jesus have a different construction, and he read it to you in Aramaic, and it's a different construction. Of course, if you don't know Aramaic, you're not going to see that. Well, let's go back. Let's look at that phrase again. He says that this is what proves that 3rd century man goes back to Jesus' time. That phrase, in the first day of the week. Sure, it is awkward in Aramaic. It is abnormal precisely because, literally translated would be one in the weeks. The Greek would normally use the word first, the first day of the week, but instead it's using one of the weeks. The second thing that's odd is Sabbath is plural. It's one in the Sabbath to say the first day of the week. That is odd. But does that mean that comes from the language of the disciples? Does that mean we can trace it back to the disciples? No, it doesn't. Why? Because it's in the Greek Bible, Dr. Craig. We know that. Psalm 23:1. You have it there. Tes mia sabbaton. You have the cardinal number 1, and you have the plural Sabbath, sabbaton. So why are you saying it goes back to the disciples' time when it's already in the Greek tradition we know Mark was using because he quotes from the Greek tradition whenever he quotes the Bible? If you got it from anywhere, it's from the Greek tradition. Any good Aramaist knows that. Well, why does he say things like that? Acts 27, you see the same phrase there. It's not necessarily early. And let's look at the attested usages. He quoted you from a Targum. And yes, you have it also in Bereshit Ravah, commentary on Genesis 11:8. But what he doesn't tell you is it doesn't go back to the time of the disciples. Those are from medieval times. He's using medieval Aramaic to try to get it back to the disciples' time. Now, is that history to you? I'm surprised he didn't look at the Syriac. Because Syriac, translated Mark 16:2 into Syriac. And Syriac is a dialect of Aramaic. What does it have there? Well, what he read to you, he doesn't explain to you that it has a preposition, b'shavah. It's literally in the Sabbath. That preposition, ba, Dr. Craig, it's not in Mark 16:2. It doesn't have a preposition in there. Why are you saying that would be perfectly good Aramaic when you're quoting Aramaic that's not from the disciples' time? It's from nearly medieval times. So again, this is a case where lack of knowledge of the primary sources in the languages leads to fallacious facts. What do you call facts for no such thing? There is no such word as first day of the week in the Aramaic of Jesus' time. And he could not quote you a text from that time, as you saw.